Hello everyone, Reginald Scott here, welcome to the video. Great to see you all again, hope you're doing really well today. Today, we're going to be talking about what's more important, the frame or the components, the group set if you like. Because this is a question that was posed by other people in the past, and it was answered by GCN a long time ago. And they recommended you should invest in the components of the bike, that the frame is secondary. I thought that was rather interesting.
Less expensive bikes, go for the components.
Yeah.
More expensive bikes at about the carbon tipping point, go for the frame.
Yeah.
And then more expensive bikes again, go for the components.
Yeah.
And I have to say, my opinion might not be in line with GCN on this one. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, if you're interested in this subject and you enjoyed the video, please do me a massive favour and like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Right. Sorry folks, just get my breath here. Now, many of my regular viewers will notice that my arms are naked today. Yes, try not to get too excited. One of the questions I often get asked is, why am I wearing arm warmers in such a hot country? You know, it's like 30 degrees plus every day. Why would I wear arm warmers? I'm crazy. Well, the reason I wear arm warmers is, number one, three reasons I suppose. Number one, they're not arm warmers. What they are is sleeves. And these sleeves are for solar protection. So basically, here in Brunei there's a very hot sun, and I'm white and I burn. Being mostly English and Nordic, I don't do too well in the sun. So that's why I wear the arm sleeves, not arm warmers. Protect me from the UV. And they do a really good job. These are the ones I usually wear, are made by a Korean company, and they actually say on the box that they are arm sleeves for UV light. So that's one. Another reason, less important reason, is, if you notice, my arms are pretty hairy. My legs are shaved. Kind of looks a bit weird having hairy arms, shaved legs. And I don't want to shave my arms because that would also look weird when I'm not cycling. Whereas usually my legs are covered by trousers when I'm not cycling. So yeah, I stick arm warmers on, covers up my hairy arms, looks better. Plus the fact that, you know, this hair is probably not that aero, whereas these tight, sort of thin sleeve material, it's very smooth and it's probably a lot more aerodynamic. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it probably is. And then the final thing is, if you come off, you're most likely to put your arms down. That's usually what people do when they fall off bikes. And I always wear gloves. I'd recommend everybody wears gloves all the time, just like Durian Rider says. If you fall, you put your hands down. Just gives you a bit of extra protection. Prevents you from tearing the skin off your hands. And same thing for the arm sleeves. They create a bit of a barrier between you and road rash. Not even 100% sure where I'm going. I'm just sort of going with the flow. Okay, on to today's subject, finally. Group set or frame. What's more important? Well, like I say, GCN, they say you should go with the group set, the componentry. Because, you know, frame doesn't really matter. It doesn't contribute that much. Something along those lines. I think the analog that they used, or the hypothetical they used was, if you've got two bikes which are the same price, but one bike is aluminium frame and the other one is carbon, and the carbon frame bike has got like 105 on it or something, and the aluminium bike has got Ultegra or Dura Ace, and they're both about the same price. You should go for the aluminium bike with the better group set. That's what they said. Now, I both disagree with them and agree with them on that one, but not for the same reasons. So where I disagree is I would say you should always invest in the frame. The frame should be the most important thing you look at when you're buying a bike. And if you're building your own bike, it should be, I would say, around 50-60% at least the total value of your bike. Yeah, that's where you should put your money, into that frame. The reason why I kind of agree with their choice in that scenario is because although what they were trying to say was the aluminium frame is inferior to the carbon, I would actually go the other way around. I'd actually say that the aluminium is superior to the carbon frame, because as you know, if you watch my channel regularly, I'm very pro metal bikes. I consider metal bikes to be much better than carbon for a number of reasons. And if it's my money, and to some extent your money, I'm giving you advice after all, I wouldn't buy carbon. That's just my opinion. I would always aim for a metal frame. Hey, that rhymes. I could put that on a t-shirt, couldn't I? The aim is the metal frame. Something like that. You know, I'd always go steel, titanium if you can afford it, aluminium if you can't. You know, these are all great materials to make bikes out of, in my opinion. Carbon is all a bit meh. Thank you. No, I'm turning. I am turning. All right, bit of confusion there. I didn't know what he was doing. Yeah, I'd always go with the metal frame. So, why do I think the frame's the most important thing? Well, I'll give you an example. Excuse me. Oh, I'm still sick, by the way. Yeah, I'll cut that bit out where I clear my nose. So, the bike I'm riding right now, the Nemo TIG, steel frame bike, all the components on this bike were originally on my Lightspeed, my titanium bike. And so I've experienced riding with these components, this Ultegra group set, these DT Swiss aluminium wheels, this carbon handlebar from Physique, the stem, the saddle, even the pedals. I've all experienced that riding on my Thai bike before I upgraded the Thai bike. The Thai bike with these components and the steel bike with these components have got totally different personalities, totally different ride characteristics. And that is a result of one thing only. Oh, same tyres as well. I use the same tyres on both bikes in the past. Right now I've got different tyres on because these are being tested, but usually I run the same tyres. So oh, by the way, just while we're here, that house down there, that absolute mansion which rivals that of some of the stately homes in the UK, probably bigger than some of the stately homes in the UK, that is owned by the religious leader of Brunei, the Grand Mufti. Is Sultan's right-hand religious man. So, and believe it or not, my father tells me, my local Bruneian father-in-law, tells me this story where the Mufti wanted to get to work faster from his house. So that road there that you see was the original road. He had a second road built directly to his workplace so he could get to work faster. Yeah, that's how much power the guy has got. He's very important, but what a house. Looks like something you wouldn't be amiss in France, you know, if you were a king. Beautiful construction. Anyway, I digress again. What on earth was I talking about?
I'm afraid I don't quite follow you.
Follow me! Follow me! That's good, that's good. A nod's as good as a wink to a blind bat.
Talking about bike frames, yeah, so the major difference is personality, ride feel, you know, the ride characteristics of the bike. So the steel bike here feels completely different from the titanium bike, and yet all the componentry right down to the saddle was exactly the same. So this is what I'm trying to say is the ride characteristics, everything that you will feel from the bike, whether you'll fall in love with the bike or not, will be based around the frame. The componentry actually doesn't matter all that much. Don't know if I let this guy go by me or not. I think I'll let him go by. Because I want to go and just take my own time. I'll let him go. There we go. Super. One light out. Can't be from round here. So all the features, the vibration dampening, the handling, whether you get a bad back or not, a lot of that will be based around the frame. So it's really important to invest in the frame, buy the right frame. Not necessarily the most expensive frame, but just the right frame. The next thing is frame materials. Now the thing is, GCN are always trying to push, obviously, carbon fiber, because their paymasters push carbon fiber on the consumer, and because that's the most profitable type of frame material for the manufacturers to produce and sell. But on me, on the other hand, where I disagree with them, is because I push metal. And one of the reasons I push metal is not just because, in my opinion, it rides better, but it's more durable, it lasts longer. It's more cost effective as a frame. You're going to keep it for longer, especially if you buy something like steel or titanium. Whereas the carbon frames don't tend to last quite as long. And that's great for the manufacturer. You know, that's a good thing if you're a manufacturer. You don't want the frame lasting a long time. You want the consumer to have to buy new frames, buy new bikes. And the other thing about carbon is it ages. You know, even if you don't break it or damage it, a carbon frame you buy today is going to look dated in a year's time, because they specifically design the colorways of the bikes and the shapes of the frames and things, and the componentry that they sell with those bikes, especially the big guys like, you know, Shimano, Specialized and Trek and things like that, and Scott. Even if you buy a carbon frame and you look after it really well, when you turn up to the group ride, it's going to look dated in a year's time or 2 years' time. Everybody's going to know you're riding around on an old frame. So this is why they push the carbon, because there's lots of incentives to change the bike, to keep buying new frames. If you invest in a frame, and when I say invest, I'm talking about like a literal investment. You're not just throwing money away into something that could potentially break very easily. You're putting money into something that's going to last. Now, no bike frame, as far as I'm aware, is going to increase in value. Maybe if it's a historic bike frame, you know, ridden by someone very famous, then possibly it might increase in value. But most bike frames, even titanium bike frames, are not going to go up in price, they're going to go down. But in 10 years' time, your steel or your titanium bike is going to ride pretty much the same as it did the day you bought it. And this is something everyone tells me. I know from my own, my own experience. And everyone in the comments always tells me that their Thai bike or their steel bike just rides the same as it always has. It doesn't degenerate, it doesn't break down, it doesn't change. So that's why I call it an investment, because they're hardy, they last a long time, they're durable, and it doesn't degrade over time. So for me, I'd rather put, $1,000 or $2,000 into a bike frame made of steel or titanium than I would $2,000 into a carbon bike frame, okay? So that's another reason why I'd go for the frame or invest in the frame. That's why I say the word invest, not just spend. The next thing is, the frame should be what you keep for a long time. You know, the bike frame for me defines what a bicycle is. Okay, so the frame is always the same. The frame remains constant. You always need a frame in order to have a bike. But you don't need, you know, Dura-Ace Di2 to have a bike. And for me, like I say, the components, they do eventually wear out. You wear out chain rings, you wear out cassettes, you wear out chains. And to some extent you also wear out shifters eventually. It might take you decades, but eventually you'll wear them out. Or they'll break. So the frame is the only thing that's going to stay with you. If you've got sort of $2,000 to spend, it would be crazy to spend $1,000 of that on componentry. Because you're going to end up, you know, throwing a lot of those components away after a period of time. And so what I would say is put the majority of the money into the frame, and then later on, when you have the money again, when you've earned more money or stole it or whatever however you get your money, you can then put it into, oh dear, look at this lizard. Such a shame. I love those things. They're water monitors, Asian water monitors. Really, I find them quite elegant and beautiful animals, but I know the locals hate them. But I just find them really interesting. It's like modern dinosaurs, you know. Fascinating creatures. Quite common. They're not rare, but I still like them. Anyway, yeah, so with regards to the componentry, you can upgrade that later on when you've got the money. So if you go out and buy a really nice titanium bike frame, let's say, and you spend all your money and all you can afford is Sora or Tawny, you know, from Shimano, the low-end group sets, don't worry about it, yeah? Because eventually, one day, when you've earned the money back, you can then upgrade that same bike. Like my Lightspeed, I've already upgraded it several times. But I've had the same bike for years. I've had the same bike, you know, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years now. So it doesn't matter. The frame remains, the group sets change. Same with the wheels. You upgrade the wheels when you've got the money. They don't matter. Whereas if you do the other way around, if you buy really great components, let's say you buy Dura-Ace or something, and you buy Dura-Ace, and then you decide to buy a cheap frame, cheap carbon from China or something, and then a few years later when you finally got the money, you go, oh, I'll upgrade my frame now to a really high-end carbon frame. Well, that Dura-Ace you bought, it's already scratched, it's already worn out, you know, maybe the crank arm snapped off if it's Shimano, you know, the chain rings are all worn out. You've got to replace all that stuff as well. So the on cost is massive. Just to me, it doesn't make sense that way. Another thing is that if you're looking at the group sets, the differences between the group sets are mostly aesthetic and a little bit of weight. So yes, on my nice bike, I upgraded it from Ultegra to SRAM Red 22, and that's a fantastic upgrade for me. I really love that upgrade. I always dreamed about having Dura-Ace, but the Dura-Aces that were available when I was coming to buy, I finally had the money to buy Dura-Ace, were, in my opinion, kind of ugly. I didn't like them. They're too black, you know. I prefer silvery group sets, like the old school ones. And yeah, I just wasn't interested. They're also heavy as well. The Dura-Ace just keeps getting heavier. So I was like, no, forget that. I'll go SRAM, because I knew SRAM was lighter, and also you get those lovely silver componentry. I think it just looks better, and so I switched. And I'm very happy with it. I think it's a really nice group set. But comparing between, say, the SRAM Red and this Ultegra, there's really not much of a difference. It's, like I say, it's mostly cosmetic differences. and obviously a little bit of weight. Well, a lot of weight, but depends how you view things. If weight's not particularly important to you in your riding style, you know, if you're not going up Alpe d'Huez every day, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. I mean, I would always put weight at the top of my list because I'm a weight weenie, but that's just me, you know. We shall, let's see now. I usually go straight here, so I think I'll go right today. A little bit dirty on the road today. Didn't want to take the corner too fast because good chance of sliding out, I think. Okay, off up the steep hill. You can really hear my spokes in my wheels complaining. Like I say, these spokes on the DTs, they rub against each other, and when they're clean, like these are, they make a lovely tingly sound, which can be annoying on a long climb. But we'll try and ignore it. I suppose I could put some wax or some Teflon or something between them, and that would probably help. In fact, in the past I have sprayed a little bit of GT85 in between them, and that seems to quieten them down. But you have to be careful with GT85. Number one, I can't get it here in Brunei, so I've got one can left, and I'm very sparing with it because once it's gone, it's gone. And the other thing is, of course, you don't want it anywhere near your brakes, so Teflon coated brake pads or brake surfaces is not a good idea. Certainly not on the rim, and definitely not on disc. God, have I got any more gears? No, I don't. What is this hill? It's not crazy. 8.4, 8.7, 8.8, 8.9, 9.5, 9.8, 9.9, 10. We're going up. We're still going up. 10, grade 10. Grade 11 for a second there. Drop back down again. Oh, there's no way I'm stopping. Oh yeah, thank you. So, where was I? Yeah, talking about group sets. Maybe I'll have to pause for a second. It's getting a bit noisy. Hello. We've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre going on. Still not, Peggy? Right. Yeah. Now, if you've got two group sets, and I'm a firm believer in this, say one is Sora or something, you know, or Rival maybe, and you compare it with the top end group set like Dura-Ace, it's really not much of a difference. You know, one, okay, it's going to be lighter if it's top end, but apart from that, you can pretty much have the same gears. If your top gear is an 11 and your bottom gear is 28, you can do 1128 on Dura-Ace, you can do 1128 on Tawny. There's not really any difference. Okay. I used to be a lot reckless around here, but every now and again somebody surprises you by coming round the corner, coming over the white line, and you're forced to brake hard. Plus the fact you never know what's going to be around the next corner, like that, you see. So it don't make sense to go too fast. Perhaps it's my old age speaking. Perhaps. I think when you're younger you just chance it, don't you? Yeah, there's really no difference. I mean, like I say, again, comparison between this Ultegra and the SRAM Red 22 that I have, both are 1128, both are double chainring. Yeah, there's basically no difference in the gearing. They both got cranks that go around, they've both got chains. You know, there's very little difference. So again, if you invest in the frame, that will make a huge difference. You know, the weight of the frame, the ride characteristics, the comfort, the snappiness, you know, the stiffness, everything about it, everything about your ride that you enjoy is really concentrated in that frame, in my opinion. And I know people will bang on about tyre size. Again, for me, for road, there's really not much difference. I've tried 23s, I've tried 25s, I've tried 28s. The main characteristics of my road bike doesn't change, no matter how fat the tyres I put on it. Yes, I noticed some difference, but the main feel of the bike all comes from the frame, in my opinion. You know, yes, fat tyres do change your handling slightly, and they'll change your rolling speed, and they may even change comfort a little bit, but like I say, a lot of it comes from the frame. That's just my opinion from my experience. Now, where should I go? I'll check the time, see how I'm doing for time. I might have to return home. Okay, we're back. Now it's going to get a little bit noisy now because I'm having to return on a kind of a main road. Not a main road, but it's just a busier road than what we've just been on. So apologies for that. Just the reality of life. That's what I've got to do. Man's got to do what a man's got to do. Cyclist's got to ride where a cyclist's got to ride. There we go, there's another t-shirt for you. Right. It shouldn't be too bad at this time of day. Morning rush hour is already mostly over, so you get a few idiots, but yeah, that's where you get that wherever you go. I've got two lights flashing at the back, so hopefully that helps. A lot of people think that I'm dressed all in black as well for some reason. Probably because my arm warmers, not my arm warmers, my arm sleeves. Now you've got me saying it. Yeah, my arm sleeves are black, but believe it or not, my helmet is white. My bottle is white. My jersey is mostly white. My sunglasses are white.
White. The Lord Advocate, white.
Yeah, and my bar tape's purple and my bike's yellow, so the only things that are black, I've also got bright green reflectors on my helmet. Fluoro ones. So the only thing that's black usually is my arms and my shorts and my shoes. I tried white shoes, but unfortunately they show up the blood too much. And again, back to the original point, which was about carbon versus aluminium. You can save a lot of money by buying aluminium, and the weight difference between a top-end alley frame and a mid-range carbon frame, because that's what you'll be getting if you have the same amount of money. One will be top-end alley, the other will be mid-range carbon, or maybe even low-end carbon. The weight difference ain't that much. You know, top-end carbon frames are sub 1,000 grams. Really good ones, middle-of-the-road ones, will be 1,000. And a top-end alley frame will be 1.2. So, it ain't all that much, really.
Top here we've got a Bowman, which is made of aluminium. Now the Bowman is a 52, the Villiers is a 52, and the Ultimate is a 54. So we've got 52 aluminium, 52 carbon, and 54 titanium. Which do you think is the lightest in this group? Let's have a look. So this Bowman Palisade is an aluminium frame, and it's weighing in at 1.27. Obviously frames fluctuate in weights depending on the manufacturing process and who actually hand welded it and so on and so forth. So we say the Bowman 52 is around 1.2, but this one is tipping the scales at 1.27. So a very lightweight frame, probably the lightest aluminium frame you can buy in Brunei currently. Next up we have the size 52 carbon frame. This is a Villiers, and that one's coming in at 1.2 as well. So it's 70 grams lighter than the aluminium frame we have in stock at the moment. As I say, those do fluctuate in weight, but to say this is a full carbon frame, it's not significantly lighter than the aluminium bike, but it is significantly more expensive. This is the most expensive frame among these three frames. So the aluminium is the cheapest. And then we have the Lightspeed Ultimate. This is actually cheaper than the carbon Villiers for its original price, but more expensive than the aluminium frame. And this one is a size 54. The other two are size 52. So this is a bigger frame than the other two bikes. And this one weighs 1.22. So this is as light as the carbon frame in a bigger size. So basically, if this was a size 52, it would be lighter than the aluminium lightweight frame, and it would be lighter than the carbon. Also, this will last longer, it's more comfortable, and it's cheaper than the carbon.
So I'd say go for the metal frame. Ali's a lot of fun to ride. If you never had an aluminium bike, I mean, I mentioned this friend before, but this friend started riding about 3 or 4 years ago. Must be 3 years ago. He's had a whole bunch of bikes, fleets of bikes, everything from carbon Cipollini, carbon Cipollini to Factor, to Giant, to Specialized. You know, he's had virtually every carbon frame under the sun that you can think of, and he still prefers. Oh, I'm in the wrong lane. I need to go this way. Good thing I realised that. Could have been a longer ride than expected. Yeah, he settled on a Specialized Ales metal bike, aluminium frame. It's his favourite bike. It's the best bike he's ever had, according to him. You know, he loves it. Just because it's so racy and so snappy, and the handling's really good. And like I say, the weight difference isn't all that. You know, the difference between the Factor, he had a Factor 02 or a Factor VAM, one of those, which is a very lightweight carbon frame, right? It's you know, the VAM is, I think, was it the lightest frame that they ever did, Factor ever did? Yeah, so, you know, very, very lightweight carbon. The weight between that and his Ales, hardly anything at all. And he's got Dura Ace on his Ales as well. So, like I say, very light bike. So I definitely invest in the frame, and I definitely go metal, and that's about it really. I can't think of anything else. If I think of anything else on the way home, I'll let you guys know. But I think I've exhausted the topic so far. Anyway, folks, thanks for riding along with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you all have a lovely day. Do try and stay safe. And I shall see you in the next video with any luck. Bye-bye.